Yeah. Right. Good afternoon, the guys online. Can you guys hear me?
Afternoon, yes, sir.
Afternoon, sir.
How are you guys?
Fine, sir.
Excellent. Okay. All right, so we'll continue with this paper. We want to finish off this paper before we move on to anything else. Right, as I said, I suggested that you guys, you let me know if you want to write the paper, the multiple choice, the paper one, here in class tomorrow, or you'd rather just write it at home, but then you probably need the answer script. So you guys, either you can, I don't know how you'll do it. You want to come tomorrow and then write the paper for the 45 minutes and then you revise it. What do you think is the best? What do you guys think is the best for you? All right, JJ saying that you'll write it tomorrow in class, okay? All right, so let's continue with that paper. And we look at number 6. That number 6 there. Right, number 6 saying figure 6.1 shows blooming water lilies. Right? Guys, quiet. Hey, please be quiet. I started to listen. Right, so blue water lilies are adapted to aquatic habitats. Right, state the name for plants that are adapted to aquatic. What do we call aquatic plants? Hydrophytes. What do we call what? Hydrophytes. So these are your water plants that are adapted to aquatic environment. Hey guys, please sit down. Right, thank you, JJ. Right, so we move on to the next part. Explain what is meant by an adaptive feature. What is an adaptive feature? What is an adaptive feature?
Sir,
Yes, online?
adaptive features are the inherited functional features of an organism that increase its fitness.
Yes. Excellent. These are the inherited features.
Inherited functional features
These are the inherited features
of an organism that increase its fitness.
What do you mean by increase its fitness?
Well, as in like the probability of an organism surviving and reproducing in the environment in which it is found.
Excellent, right? So it increases its ability to survive within the environment. So that is an adaptive feature, right? Are we together? Yes, sir. Right. So quickly write that down. What's happening? I think it's the internet is acting a bit shady. Let me just try and close a few tabs here. Right, are we done? Okay, the guys online, can you guys hear me clearly? Interference.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's fantastic. I don't know where it is then. I think it's one of the guys online. That. Right. Now suggest why the water lily leaves have large air spaces. Why do they have large air spaces? Yes, Rosa?
So that the leaf can blend and float on the surface.
Exactly.
Carry out that.
So that the leaves remain buoyant or float. Or float on the water surface. Again? I can't hear you. The exam.
Yeah, I
You're writing it after we finish this paper. It's just 45 minutes, so we'll do it in the last hour. You guys will be done by the paper one. Yes, the paper one. On the waterfall, the surface, so that they can carry gaseous exchange, carry out gaseous exchange, and carry out gaseous exchange. Are we together? Gaseous exchange. What other adaptive features are there for hydrophytes? What other adaptive features do they have?
The lower epidermis lacks stomata.
Yes, exactly. They lack stomata, the lower epidermis. Thank you. Right, so remember, the gaseous exchange only happens from the upper surface. Right, are we done with this part with this question? Are we all done? Can you quickly copy? Are we done? All right, so let's move on. To move on to B part one. Their star-shaped blue or pink flowers emit a pleasant scent, attracting the beetles, bees, and other insects. So this here, what is that? Usually these are called your pheromones, right? Your pheromones. These are just chemicals that are sweet smelling. They attract your animals, for example, your bees, your beetles, and insects. Right, right. And then for these ones, we say suggest the method of pollination for the blue water lily flowers and describe other structural adaptations of these flowers to help ensure this type of pollination occurs. So when we're using your insects, right? Those are the ones that are attracted here. You can see your beetles, bees, and other insects. So what pollination do you call it? Come again? Is it cross-pollination? Insect pollination. Insect pollination. Because it's being carried out by insects. Are we together? That's the type of pollination. Are we together? So it is insect pollination. Then the structural adaptations. They want us to talk about the structural adaptations. Which ones do we have that allow for insect pollination? Yes? Yes, stigma is located inside the flower. Inside flower. Anything else? What else? The anthers. Okay, so we can say also the anthers located inside, right? And then online flowers are brightly colored. Excellent, right? So they have large, brightly colored flowers or petals. Right. So remember, if they're brightly colored, they attract more insects. Are we together? That's what they even mentioned. The blue and the pink. So those are brightly colored to attract the insects. Are we together?
Sir,
Yes.
so what about So we state that the flowers have nectaries. They produce nectar to attract the agents of pollination, like the insects.
No, we can't repeat that because your nectars, remember, they're just simply using that. Yes? You want to copy that?
Does it also describe that pollen grains?
The pollen grains, yes, you can. What are they? Yes. So they, I believe they're also larger and sticky. Pollen grains. Anything else? Or that's all? Is that all we have? Right. So remember the ones that
Like the flowers are also scented.
we can't state scented. They said other structural adaptations. So you can't mention anything to do with scent, like your nectar. Are we together, guys? So these are the ones that you need to mention. The other point that you can mention is that they're very conspicuous. They stand out. Are we together? Yes, they stand out.
It doesn't do the color.
Oh yeah, it does. We already mentioned that, right? Yeah, so we don't need to repeat that. So if you mention all this, you get your 4 marks. Are we together? Yeah, so I think that's all. Unless I'm missing anything else. No, there's nothing else. So let's move on. Then we all copy that down.
Yeah.
Right. Now figure 6.2 shows a flower from a different plant species. Describe how this flower is different in structure to the blue water lily. Right. So we need to look at its structure. The anthers are hanging outside. Hanging outside the flower. Right? The petals are? Can we see that though? Can we see that? It's true, but I don't think you can use the color aspect here. Yes, the petals are smaller. Are we together? So if you mention those two, you get your marks. All right. So we copied that down.
Hold on.
Yeah, I just want to move fast so we can get to the exam. Right. Let's quickly move on to number 7. Number 7, say, define the term population. What is population? What is population? Yes, Costa?
A group of organisms of the same species,
Mhm.
same area as the picture.
The number of group. Come again?
Like, what if I see the exact same person saying in a certain area of an
In the same ecosystem. Yeah, I think that's correct. Ecosystem in the same area. Still correct.
So what do you say environment?
Yes, still correct. Of a group of certain organisms, right?
They live in the same area.
In an
At the
area,
same time.
exactly,
same
in an
time.
area. An area at the same time. Marks. Are we together? That's your definition. Right. Now we've got your table 7.1, which shows the total mass of fish caught for 3 different seawater fish species between 1992 and 2000 in tons. Right? Are we together? Right. So just 2 reasons why there has been a decrease in the mass of fish caught for all 3 fish species since 1993, right? So you can see here, you've got your horse mackerel, you've got the hake and the pilchard, right? So now from 1992, you can see we start off with 427,000 tons, and then we go from 300 to 344,000 tons. So there's a reduction in mass over time. So how do we explain that? Overfishing. Overfishing of what? Of larger fish. Come again? How do we know that they're big? Because we're measuring mass. So it means that we could be just catching the ones that are larger and leaving the ones that are smaller. On page 2. Fish. Are we together? What else? Water pollution, right? Which causes the fish to migrate. Are we together? Fish to migrate to other areas. Yes? No, there's one paper I want us to look at. Migrate to other areas. Right. So that is your point there. Now, part 2 asks you outline ways in which fish stocks in the sea can be sustained. How can we sustain this fish? Educate the public. Educate the public. Educate the fishermen. Educate the fishermen. Yes, excellent. Educate the fishermen about reducing fish numbers, or reducing fish population. Yes. Yes, the laws, right? So she said, introduce fish quotas. Avoid what? Water pollution. Yeah, I think so. Avoid water pollution. I think what better is saying, yeah, sustained. Yeah, so I don't think you can mention the pollution part. The one you can mention is the introduce marine sanctuaries. Marine sanctuaries for the fish. Introduce sanctuaries. There's no in there. Marine sanctuaries for the endangered species. Yes? Come again? Quotas means that you limit the number of fish that are fished in a certain time period. Which one? Yeah, I don't think you can mention that one. They're saying how can you sustain? Raise awareness. So the lowest part, I'll say you say that you don't water pollute. That is included in the lowest. Yes. Raise awareness for water pollution. Yes, that's the educate. For the endangered fish. Which one reduce? The fishermen, but like only the fishermen they like. What are you talking about? 200 meters depth restriction. Yeah, those are the laws, guys. So did I write the laws there? Introduce laws. Introduce laws. Protect the fish and their habitats. And their habitats. Are we together?
So, previous-
So any of those points, yes? Yes.
So if you go fishing, what is it? If
So, but look, sir, some people, they just like throw waste. But then they don't fish. What about those ones?
If pollution-
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can put it under the laws. You can put it under the laws. Right, are we done, guys? Have we all copied that down? We quickly copy it down and move on to the next question.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what are things?
What a sanctuary. It's just a safe area for the fish where they're not able to be hunted down. So they have all the resources, you even breed them so that they increase their population. I think also breeding can be put there. Force them to breed so that the population goes up. Artificial what? Yes, you can say it's artificial. So what breeding, let's say the larger fish, so that their population, their numbers go up. Right, number 8. Are we done? Are we done, guys? All right, number 8. Figure 8.1 shows your phototropic response in a plant. Define phototropism. Yes, it is the sensitivity to light. Sensitivity to?
Right.
But then how do you? Better.
The growth is like one
Exactly.
to 10, one to 9, either by weight or again.
The growth or movement of a plant or organism. Yeah. There's some that can respond to light, like fungi. Yeah. No, they won't mark you wrong. Because plants do show phototropism. In response to the presence of light. Are we together? So that is the definition there. Yes, any questions? Do you all understand that definition? We're good? Quickly. Right. So as we're waiting for those guys to copy down, we move on to the part to describe how the plant growth hormone auxin causes the response shown in figure 8.1. What is an auxin? Yes. Yes.
So like answer this question.
Yes.
The auxin is normally produced in the shoot of the plant, right? But in this case, since this phototropism is taking place,
Yes.
that means that the auxin will now move down the shoot.
That is why it's quite a like
It will move down the shoot and take over the site that doesn't have light, and then therefore once the shoot sucks out light, then causes it to elongate.
excellent. Right. So auxin, you need to mention auxin is a growth hormone. Are we together? It's a growth hormone. Right? Which promotes what? Is that elongation or cell division? The cell division. And what else? An uptake of water, right? Are we together? An uptake of water by osmosis. Osmosis. Then what happens when cell division starts to take place? What is it? Water. Moves by osmosis. By diffusion.
So, but what I said was since self-efficiency, Auxin will cause main things at the center of the plant.
Yes, exactly. You need to mention that the auxins, this takes place on the, this takes place where? On the side away from the light. Are we together? Away from the light. Come again? How does it move? Okay, from here, you can see here, it means that your auxins are going to be present here in large concentration, right? So wherever they are away from the light, so in the shadow here, you'll have more auxins and it will cause the cell division. So when you have more cell division here, your plant will bend like that compared to this side. Are we together? Does that make sense? Okay, so if we start, let's say our plant is starting here, right? It's growing from there. The thing, is it there? You can show it in the textbook. Right, let me just quickly draw another one. Let's say my shoot is like this. Right, I have my shoot like this. Right, and my light is from here. Are we together? My auxins will accumulate here. Are we together? These are the auxins. Are we together? So once the auxins accumulate here, they'll promote what? Cell division. So when you have cell division, it means that you're having more cells growing. Are we together? So when you have more cells growing on this side than this side, your plant will bend like this. Does that make sense? Your plant will bend because you've got more cells this side. If you have more cells growing or cells being divided by cell division, you have more cells, and once they add onto this side, you see it'll bend. It's almost like the bimetallic strip. It's sort of as if this one is bending. You've got more growth happening here than this side. Does that make sense?
More this side.
What's your question?
And why not diffusion?
What are you asking? The water.
Yes, the water move.
So basically,
Doesn't water movement only happen through osmosis in plants? The water movement, the elongation of the plant, of your cells. Is it not? Yes. Which side? The side with the auxins.
Like how the oxygen gets
Like how do the auxins come here?
what
I think it's just through it's almost like it's created in those cells. It's not that they come, they're created in the cell. Yes. It moves down yes, it is diffusion in a sense, but then when you're talking about water, it's osmosis. Movement of your water in cells is through osmosis. What's the question?
Where does the water come in? Because our text or our water doesn't involve any water.
It doesn't involve water.
It just says that the oxygen diffuses to the shaded part, right?
Yes.
The oxygen diffuses to the shaded part, and it causes the cells to elongate and grow faster, to move further. Right? That's what-
Okay. But then what causes the elongation?
Diffusion.
Is it just cell division?
It doesn't mean
That's what I'm saying, that the water, when your cells elongate, we know they become bigger through what? The movement of water into the cell, right?
now say if you think about it. Like really like maybe for someone like talking normally like specific organ
Yes.
that deals with that. So now that what we can tell we know who's not that maybe we know like the thing but like in terms of plants, what does that?
What does that?
Yeah.
For the auxins, are you talking about the water or the auxins?
So
The auxins. What I know is that they are created within the cells If there's some already existing, they will diffuse to the side where there is no light.
Because it was a
All together.
the auxins that was produced from
Yes.
the shoot, so it just goes down, like.
Yes, most of them are produced in the shoots and the roots. That's where your auxins are created. The shoots and the roots. Those are the parts that actually grow towards either gravity or your light. Are we together? So once you have them on this side, they will then promote your cell division and the elongation. Are we together? That's why it bends towards that side. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So I don't understand.
Okay. Which part don't you understand?
The diffusion of the system.
Okay, guys. Can we agree that the auxins are mainly created in the roots, right? And the shoot. This is my shoot, right? And this is my roots, right? So when your plant is growing, your roots grow towards what? Come again?
Water.
Roots, what do they go towards? Gravity. So that's why they go downwards. Are we together? Then the shoots, where do they grow? Towards light or away from the ground. So they use your gravity, your gravitropism and the phototropism. So they are created mostly here and there. Are we together? Right. Once that production has happened, let's say your light has shifted, it's now this side. It's not on top. These auxins will move to the darker side, away from the light. Are we okay? So there's a higher concentration of your auxins here, right? And then this will cause your cell division and the elongation so that it grows more this side. So you've got more growth on the side where it's away from light, but then less growth where on the side with light. Then that's why it bends to the right like that. Does that make sense? Yes. Which part don't you understand? Okay, let's talk about osmosis. Sorry, I mentioned that. Then what do we have? If the osmosis is not, what happens? Can you tell me? What happens? If there's no osmosis, what happens?
Diffusion.
Okay, it's diffusion of what? Yes, they move there. What happens?
And then elongation happens
How?
by
By cell division. Thank you. And then it bends where? You've got more growth this side than where?
then on the other side.
Than on the other side. Then it bends. Does that make sense for me?
So now,
Okay.
so then this thing is
Which part?
like put down on the other side of the oxygen.
Uh-huh.
Like basically,
Yes.
and then you have this side is not as like it. Then you feel like a move on and off this.
Yes, that's what happens. Where it has the light, your auxins will move away from it. So sometimes if you have it on the shoot, they'll be here. So that's why it grows forward. Does it make sense? Because it's now the central part. Those are the ones that are elongated. Does it make sense? Are you okay, Gil? So which part do you understand now? Fully? All right.
So first, we need to
What happened? All right. So anyways, let's move on. You haven't finished writing. Okay. So can you quickly write that down? Are we done? Quickly. Yes. Auxin. 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 Oh yes, it's plural because you have many. There's so much of the ovum is produced in the shoots and the roots. So it migrates to the other side where there's no light. So it increases in concentration, though site where there's more concentration of the auxin is where you've got rapid growth. Are we done? Quickly, guys.
Yes, sir.
Yes, done? So we can move. All right. Right, so now figure 8.2 shows some of the endocrine glands in humans. Right, so you've got your thymus, they've already given us that. We've got L, M, N, O, P. Use the label letters from figure 8.2 to indicate the endocrine gland that secretes your. What is the one that secretes testosterone? It is P. The testes. Thank you. Right, and then insulin, M, which is the pancreas. And then your adrenaline, L, adrenal glands. And then your estrogen, which is the ovaries. Brilliant. What was an example? Right, guys, let's move on. Discuss the role of adrenaline when a person is shocked or surprised. What happens? Yes. Yes, it's fight or flight. Fight or flight. But this is not the answer. I don't think you can write this. Thank you. It increases. Hey, guys. It increases the heart rate and rate of breathing. The rate of breathing. They're saying discuss the role. What does it do? So we know it increases the heart rate and the rate of breathing. To supply oxygen to your respiring cells. All right, just hold on. Let's finish this question. Respiring cells, and also increases uptake of your glucose into the muscle cells. Increases uptake of glucose into the muscle cells. We're together. Yes. What's your question about lactic acid?
Okay, I understand that when this is when they run, oxygen is supplied to the muscle.
Yes.
And then normally that something has to be converted back. But if you start converting that, then lactic acid is
If it's not converted back. I don't understand. Right? When you are doing a strenuous exercise, right? It's because there's not enough oxygen going to your spinal cells. That's why there's buildup of the lactic acid. Right? That lactic acid buildup is the one that can cause cramps in the muscle. Right? So that's why you have to, after you literally stop this, still breathing in, because you're still supplying those spinal cells to break down the lactic acid.
So what is the chemical formula?
What is it now? I forgot what it is. Who knows the chemical formula for lactic acid? C. C. O3. Like that. Oh.
Yeah, I think it is.
C3H6O6. O3. Yeah. Come again? Yes, it's oxygen that breaks it down. It's oxygen that breaks it down. Right, so I think that's done with that paper. Is there a question? Yes, thank you, JJ. C3H6O3. Right, so that is the done of this paper. So I think all of you are okay with this paper now. So if they're breeding it exactly as it is, you guys should be able to totalize. Okay. Hold on. Wait. Yes, it does dilate the pupil. You can also put that. Are we done? Right. So, what is the time now? It's 2:45. Right. So I think we can start the test at 3:30. Is 3:30 okay? What time should we start the exam? 3:30. But it's just 45 minutes, huh? No, I want us to look at that paper, variation. Right, so I wanted us to look at this paper. I'm not sure if you guys got it. The only paper that I marked was Louis' paper. So I wanted us to just go over this paper. I won't go over all the questions. We'll just go over some of them. Are we together? Right. So this one here, I think you already know the answers to this. Your external characteristics of mammals. We all know that, huh?
Yeah.
What else? Mammary glands. External.
Yeah.
They're external. They're not external.
So they give.
No, external characteristics.
I think they are named.
You can't talk about
Like, looks like.
Fur or hair, right? Or ear
Like a bird with people.
flaps.
Those are my answers.
Yes, but those are not external characteristics. Are we together? Right. So here, I think this is very simple questions. You guys should be able to answer those questions. You already defined population. What did you say population is?
Number of organisms.
Yes. At a certain time, right? Then they ask you suggest 3 reasons for the decline in the population size. Hold on. Come. Increasing. But then we're looking for reasons. Yes. Yes, your infections, right? Exactly. Competition for resources, thank you. What else? So we can talk about your infections or disease, right? Competition for resources.
Population size, that is only mean for certain organisms of the whole animal.
They're specifically talking about this one, the lions. They asked you for the lion population size over time. So competition for resources. For resources. Anything else? Yes.
If the previous level of like that is someone who like I said before that normally said undigested whatever. So that due to those kind of digestive issues, the next level providers will live in
then you can't keep that. You can't. Yes.
So can you also say famine?
Come again.
Can you also say famine?
Famine.
Can you see that?
Yes, habitat destruction. Famine, I think it can fall under this. Famine, as in if they lack the resources, right? Yeah, so it falls under that. So habitat destruction is the last one. Yes.
So what if you write like maybe climate change or poaching?
Poaching, you can. Poaching.
Climate change.
Climate change.
Yeah.
That's more on habitat destruction, huh? Yeah. So here, poaching, the over hunting or overfishing. Are we together? Right, move on to the next part. Constructive food chains, I think you guys are familiar with that, right? Yeah, so we can skip that. Yes? You want this paper? All right. But then it was shared online, so you guys already have it on the phone. Or you want the physical copy? I'll ask Mr. Frank to print it. You don't know how to draw the food chain. Right, so let's do this one. Lion lives in a savanna habitat. Construct a food chain linking 3 named organisms from a savanna habitat, right? That is very key. The food chain should be labeled to identify the primary consumer and secondary consumer. No, but then I did share it. So one of you, I only marked this paper. Really? Okay, so this is just basic division. That's why I don't want to cover all the questions. So how do we do this one? You draw grass? You're right. You're right. What are we writing? Grass, huh? Some answers. Grass, and then what is the grass?
Maybe a zebra.
Yes, your springbok.
Zebra, so it's a lion.
Yes, even a zebra, springbok, anything that is a primary consumer, right? Springbok, zebra, right? And then you need to also primary consumer. Are we together? So this is the producer. And then what do I have in my secondary? The lion. Thank you. Lion, which is the secondary.
What did he say?
Right, secondary consumer. Right. Now let's move on to the next part. You understand now? Okay, number 2 shows the carbon cycle. I think this was done extensively. You guys now know how to answer this, right? What is combustion? Which one is combustion? The Q, right? And then your respiration.
Wait,
Yes, P. P. Are we together? Is it P?
So JJ answer.
Organic compounds in animals, yes. P. And then photosynthesis.
Organic compound.
Right. It's taking carbon dioxide from the air and then turning it to organic compounds in plants. Yeah, he's answering. He's participating. Thank you, JJ. Right. Next part on Fig 2.1, draw 2 arrows labeled V to show where respiration is also occurring. You want to show where respiration is also occurring. Where? Yes. Where else? Yes. Correct. Well done. Now we move on to state the 2 types of microorganisms involved in decomposition of dead material. Bacteria and exactly. Excellent. Fungi, yes. Yeah. For the diagram. Okay. Right, fungi there. Right, now I'll ask you to describe 2 key features of a web. I gave you this guys this answer. So can you please tell me, Mamsi, what's the answer? Thank you. Multiple food chains. Exactly, thank you. Multiple food chains interconnected. Right, so then what else? Multiple organisms at each trophic level. Right, let's move on. Right, so this one with the full grape, I'm sure you guys can construct one by yourself, right? All right, now we move on to this one. Figure 3.1 shows the energy flow through a food chain. The food chain consists of 4 organisms. The first box shows the total energy in the green plant's tissue, right? So there, the first one you've got your 500,000 joules in the green plant. Then the next one, they show you that there's a 90% energy loss. Are we together? For each of the trophic levels. So they're losing 90% of energy. Does that make sense? Now it asks you use figure 9.1 to calculate the energy in the tissues of the other 3 consumers. Number 1, primary consumer. How do you work it out? Exactly. So you come again?
You think 10
Don't you but just find 90% of that? Subtract. Oh, so you do what's the, just say 0.1 off? 0.1 off? You still get 50,000. What's the answer? What does this give you? 50 kilojoules, correct. That's the answer in the next level. So you have 50 kilojoules here. All right, in the next part, you also find the 0.1 after next one. So what's the answer? 5 kilojoules. Are we together? So it's 5 kilojoules there. Then the next one is 0.5 kilojoules or just 500 joules. Right, so that is the energy at each trophic level. Right, let's pause. Explain why it is important to conserve living species for the environment, the natural environment. Why is it important? To conserve living species for the natural environment. Yes.
So, I know that when now basically the net
So you can say to maintain biodiversity. Biodiversity. Yes, you can. You can mention the nutrient cycle, but then it's now saying what? What are you doing? Balance. You need balance in every ecosystem altogether, so that this ensures balance in the ecosystem. Yes.
you also say not to destroy food chains or something like that.
Destroying of food chains, yes, you can. What? How would you put it as a point? But then I think it falls under, it shows balance. About the balance. It shows balance in the ecosystem. Are we together? It's intact. Is that a separate point? It keeps the food webs intact. Yeah, it is. It keeps your. Yes, chance. Yes. Population control. No. What do you mean by population control? What do you mean by population control?
Saying something also.
If you remove one from
Yeah, I think it falls under this one. To ensure balance in the ecosystem. And conserve species for future generations. I think that is the biodiversity. That is the biodiversity. I think you can take this one. It keeps your food chains or webs intact. Right. How about the benefit of the human population? That point that JJ mentioned is very important. Conserve species for conserve species for future generations. Are we together? What else? What else? These are 3 marks. What else? What else can we mention? What else can we mention, guys? More oxygen. More species for tourists. Yes.
The benefit of human what?
Yes.
Most species of tourists what? Who are humans here to speak?
Something like that, right? What else?
Let's see what you do.
What else? Yes.
Explain number 2 for me.
This one, the reason if you have more biodiversity, you've got more animals. Are we together?
This guy.
For example, if you've got more zebras, more lions, you've got tourists coming to see those animals. So your tourist economy is improving. Does that make sense? So you bring in more foreign currency. So you can put foreign currency here.
For human population.
Yes, for human population, we're the ones who use the money. Foreign currency.
I still don't get it.
So,
I don't know how to explain it differently. And then yes, creates the employment. Creates employment opportunities. Thank you, JJ. All right, you too.
He read it. He read it.
no, I said we talk
After teaching.
Right, next. Right, so I don't want to look at all of the questions. Some of them are just being repeated. Right, can we look at this one? Identify the type of nutrition described below. A caterpillar eating a leaf. What type of nutrition is that? What type of nutrition is that? It's a heterotrophic. Heterotrophic. How about this one? Where your fungus grows and feeds on it. When fungus grows and feeds on the leaf. So remember, this is dead material. This is dead material.
Decomposition.
Not the type of nutrition. What is it called? It's a type of heterotrophic. Saprophytic. Saprophytic nutrition. Are we together? Now the next one, explain why despite not eating green nuts, lime relies on them for its food source. The interconnectedness, right? The interconnectedness. You need to explain the food chain. Interconnected. Of the producer, let's say green plants, yes, of the producer to the secondary consumer. Altogether. And they say you can even use a food chain. You can even illustrate using a food chain. So you can say your grass or your leaf, which is eaten by your antelope to the lion. So that energy flows down that food chain to the lion. Are we together? Yes, Johnson. You can do both. We can say you may use a food chain to illustrate. Yeah, so you can use both. Yes. Yes, that's correct. You can say your producers are what? Are responsible for making the food, the organic compounds in the food chain. And then they pass it down to the primary consumers, and then the lions depend on the primary consumers too for their food. So you can still say that. Organic is your compounds that contain the carbon, hydrogen. those type of compounds that are produced by the plants. Inorganic, yes. The inorganic contain like the, what is it, the ions, the nitrates, the phosphates, those type of ions. Yes. Water? No. Inorganic. It's part of organic. Yeah. Yes. It's required for the most of the reactions in the plant. Sparkling water. Did you just say sparkling water? Isn't sparkling water is just, it has added carbon dioxide. What is it? What is sparkling water? It has more oxygen content, right? I don't know. Carbon dioxide. Okay. Yeah, so that's why this is a lot, huh? Yeah, we do. Right. Figure 4.1. I think this one is very easy as well. But then it might be tricky since you guys didn't cover water cycle. We'll do it again. Name the processes represented by A and C. What is A? Evaporation. Thank you. Evaporation. What is C? Precipitation. Thank you. Precipitation. Most of you should know this from geography. Yeah? From grade 7, huh? Yeah. What's up? I can't see you. Yes, they drink carbon dioxide. We drink it all the time. Even in Coke. It's in the Coke. Yeah, carbonic acid. Right. Here, what does it say? If process C ceases for a long period of time, explain what effect this would have on the plant. I think it's the previous question. Plants will cease to photosynthesize. They won't, huh? They won't, huh? Exactly. Plants will and die without liquid water. Right, so you need to express that it's liquid water that they use. Are we together? Liquid water. That's the one that they use. Can they use the water in the air? They use it, or it's part of the transpiration. It's because that's the one that they use. Process C. Process C is going from your clouds to groundwater. So it's present as liquid water. Right, driving sounds hot. Okay. What do you want me to say? Water in rivers might become polluted. Stage 2, human activities which may lead to water pollution. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop using the chat box. Right, now, what 2 human activities do we have? Runoff of chemicals into the river. Runoff of chemicals into the river. What else? Sewage, huh? Sewage. Yes. Come again? Literally. Dumping of plastics into the river. Yeah, you can. Oil spills, yes, that's correct. That is correct. Yes. Right. What is conservation? What is conservation? You can tell me what conservation is. Yes. What is conservation? Yes, you're preserving. What is conservation, guys? What is conservation? I told you guys this, yes?
The maintenance of the environment in a space that
maintenance of
the environment and natural resources in a space that
resources in a state that
Maintain biodiversity.
yes, in a state that promotes biodiversity. Biodiversity. Are we together? That's your definition of conservation. Right, and then they ask you, give 3 reasons why it is necessary to conserve water in Namibia. Why is it necessary to conserve water in Namibia?
The climate. The climate. Right.
It's a tricky question, huh? How would you answer this?
Conserve water.
Why would you want to conserve water in Namibia?
Because it doesn't rain a lot. So,
Lack of the resource. Lack of the resource. Lack of the resource in the desert, or since it's the desert. Come again? Because of the climate. Yes, you can, but then you need to explain what's wrong with the climate. Yeah, it's a desert because there's lack of water, available water. What else? What other reason is there? Drought. I think that falls under this. Yeah, but then remember, talk about now your ecosystem. Your ecosystem. Water is required to maintain a balanced ecosystem. Right. So here, I'll give an example. If your cactus don't have water in it, where would the primary consumers get the water? Right? So you require a balanced ecosystem. It's required to maintain a balanced ecosystem. Anything else? Anything else besides that? Anything else? Give you a hint. Let's see. You can also explain it in terms of the water cycle. The water cycle. And also characteristics of living organisms. Characteristics of living organisms. What else can you mention there? I can't hear you. You're tired. You guys are already tired. But you just came back from lunch. You guys are using your energy at 30 seconds, huh?
But so we also use biology.
You want to play 30 seconds by biology? Okay. We'll during the break before you write your paper, but then let's finish this one. Yes. Half past 3. What's the time? Okay, so 15 more minutes. Yes. Making water. Guys, remember, water is required for all organisms. Are we together? Yes. Yeah, I guess we take that. I guess. Right, guys, let's quickly look at the next one. I think this should be the last question. Let's see. Yeah, we'll just get to one part. Right. Figure 5.1 shows a cause of acid rain. State 2 causes of acid rain other than those shown in figure 8.1. So as you can see in the picture, was shown a factory producing sulfur dioxide that creates the acid rain. What other examples do we have? Nitrogen oxide.
Strategic part.
Car exhaust fumes. Car exhaust. Hey guys, you guys are making too much noise now. Nitrogen oxide, where is it coming from?
From the.
Anything else? What can cause deforestation? Deforestation. If you're cutting down a lot of trees, that increases carbon dioxide concentration in the air. If you have increase, yes, you get carbonic acid. Yes. So when you have carbon dioxide concentrations increasing in the air, that can lead to the formation of the carbonic acid. Yes. I'm saying when you cut down trees, that increases the carbon dioxide concentration in the air, right? Since there's no more trees to take in the carbon dioxide to photosynthesize to release oxygen, right? Then, once you have a larger concentration of carbon dioxide in the air, right, your CO2, this can then, what is it called? Liquefy or go into solution when it rains and then create carbonic acid. Carbonic acid. So those are the two types. So here it leads to your nitric acid because of the nitrous oxide being released. This can lead to your carbonic acid being formed, right? Then this one,
I don't understand how it's carbon.
the carbon dioxide is going into the rain when it's forming there. So when it falls down, it's part of the rain. Remember, carbon dioxide is acidic gas. So when it goes into water, it creates carbonic acid. It reduces this. Really, it's an acidic gas. Now you know. Right. Discuss two effects of acid rain on aquatic life. What can acid rain do to aquatic life? Yes.
Kill aquatic life. So it can kill the fishes inside the sea.
Yes.
So what is kill the animals?
How? You can explain. Yes.
Because what is
What is that? Formula of acid. H plus.
the acid rain, like acid rain from something.
Acid rain, there are types of acids that are created.
But there's
Nitric acid.
no-
No.
Yeah.
The HNO3. And then what else? H2SO4. Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, that's a chemistry.
So for example, let's say like the H.
Yes.
So normally what happens is like because it's nitrogen,
Uh-huh.
it only is used for fertilizer, like soil. So like in this case, it of course like more with like water
Yes.
overgrowth, and
Yes.
then due to that overgrowth, it happens in the plant.
Yeah. So remember, you've got these ions, these two ions there. So you've got more acid rain. This case is the soil content or your water content altogether. So you now have overgrowth in your rivers. Overgrowth. Yes, overgrowth in rivers, which can affect. Right. Let me also stress this is plants, overgrowth of plants in rivers, which can affect aquatic life. Are we together? What else? Yes. Yes, it does. It lowers the pH of life of the water. So what happens? Yes. Yes, it's more acidic. Mhm.
That means that like in terms of like the thing that would be released from the
Yeah. Some species cannot survive. Exactly. Some species cannot survive at low acidity. So you just need to stress the point that it's more acidic. You've changed the environment altogether. So it's not all the organisms that can survive in that acidic condition. In acidic conditions. Are we together? You get your mark. Right. Acid rain indirectly affects plant growth and vegetation. This can lead to fewer trees in the environment. It's further worsened by humans removing trees and using them as fuel. Describe two industrial or undesirable effects of deforestation. What can happen? Global warming, right? Global warming. How would you describe that? Exactly. Cutting down trees increases concentration, which is a greenhouse gas. Increases concentration, which is a greenhouse gas. Are we together? Anything else? Soil erosion. Yeah, so when you have, it increases, when you have less vegetation, remember increasing more runoff into your rivers. Are we together? So soil erosion promotes, which promotes what? Which promotes runoff of chemicals into river. Yes. There's less vegetation. Anything else?
I wanted to ask, because of deforestation,
Yes. Yes, exactly. Habitat loss. Habitat loss. That's another important point. Yes. Acid rain. Yeah, we can. Remember the one you said about the carbonic acid. Yeah, so you can. In the question, huh? But then I think it was another question that I included. It's like a separate question. Right. C. Figure 5.2 shows pollution of water in a river by sewage, right? States the effect of sewage on the river shown in figure 8.2. So you have a point there where there hasn't been any sewage, and that is the oxygen level in the river. And then at B, the sewage enters. So what happens? What's happening there? Exactly. So, what is the effect? All right, I'll explain. In the river, what are you thinking? All right. Right, now they say discuss the process that leads to a change in the oxygen level between points B and C. So what's happening there at B and C? You need to state the introduction of organic molecules, organic matter has been. What happens? The organic matter, when you release sewage into the river, what happens? They increase the amount of organic molecules there. Are we together? So organic matter has been increased there. Are we together? Yes, yes. So what happens next? When you have more organic material in the river? Exactly. Your organic material respires. Right? So remember, with organic material, you're looking at all types of material, like your bacteria, whatever is living there. Are we together? So that respires using up the oxygen in the river. Yes. No, because actually it's easy, huh? Yeah. So these are the NAMCO papers, right? So what else do we mention? Organic material then respires using up the oxygen in the river, right? Lowering the oxygen levels. Yes.
Can we also say that, like, due to the animal or the diet?
Exactly. What else? So there's less. Yes. Less oxygen for organisms such as fish, which can result in, thank you, Kapire. Right, so that is the answer there. Are we together? So that is what happens there between the for points B and C when the sewage enters the river. Yes. Yes, so that's also an important point because with your overgrowth, it usually just covers the pot because they're trying to get the light. So when that happens, you limit the organisms that are at the bottom there. Photosynthesis does not. Yes, because it's blocked out. Are we together? Yeah, we're done. Is there any questions so far?
So the exam that comes out now.
Which exam? The one you're about to write now? Yeah. Okay, so let's see. It is 25 minutes past 3. But then even if you start now, you still have, what time are your lessons ending? 4:30. Let's see. Right. But then if there's anything that you guys don't understand, you can ask now before we break. And then you get ready for your exam. Any question? How do? Wait. I don't know what that is. What is a koi fish? Oh, the ones with big box. Okay. No idea. Mud water. I have no idea. Mud water.
Yes, sir.
Maybe it's because maybe like with the movement with their girls, they just want to build the strength of
Or
the
maybe
girls
the
on the
mud
fence.
like already sweat itself.
Contains nutrients.
Yeah, so probably like.
Okay. Yeah. What? No, she's saying like whatever is in the soil, like a mud. I don't know. I don't know if you can eat it. I don't know if you can eat it. The guys online, you guys are free to ask any questions or anything that you didn't understand as well. Any questions?
Can I leave?
Before we go, yes. Hey, yes.
Sir, may I leave?
Or you want to leave?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you can leave. But then
Okay.
for those guys, can you please confirm if you'll be writing the exam?
My mom won't bring me, that's for sure. So I don't know.
You don't know.
Mm.
All right. No, it's fine. We'll send you guys the papers. Those ones able to write with us.
Okay.
So, guys, any questions so far? Any questions? Once we're done with this paper. Any questions? If there are no questions, I'll ask you guys. I'll ask you guys questions. It means that you guys know everything. So I can ask questions. I can ask you a question. All right. What's your name? Famwe. Right. Famwe, can you tell me what are the three types? What are the three types of neurons you have? Hey. I said Famwe. Famwe. Are you Famwe? What are the three types of neurons you have? Yes, neurons. You don't even know. You don't know Famwe. Hey, guys, quiet. Yes.
We have the relay neuron.
Yes.
And then
Thank you. Right. So those are the three types. Can I ask another question?
Yes.
The most difficult. Okay. For the mammals, what is a double circulation?
double circulation.
Shush. What is a double circulation? What is referred by double circulation? Anyone? One more bit. You said difficult. Oh, it's a difficult question. One more. What is double circulation? What is double circulation? Chance. Exactly. In one complete. Passes the heart twice. Remember, first to the ventricle, coming back in your body, then comes to the lungs for oxygenation, then back to the heart again. I know, JJ was just asking if you understand anything. So these guys said that they understand everything. So I'm asking them to answer my questions. If you guys are done, if you don't have any questions for me, we can end the class then. And then these guys will be writing the exam.
Bye.
Since you guys are not here with us, I think we'll just share the paper with the online guys and then you can answer at home. Or you can come tomorrow and then write the multiple choice here before we revise with everyone. Are we together? Before we actually start on the paper 3. Guys, please keep it down. Right. So, should I ask another question? One more question. Yes. All right. Let's see. Who can tell me what happens when you have vasodilation? What happens with vasodilation? This is when the yes. Oh, this is
I know.
This is when the body gives
Like
up.
this for dilation, when now like basically your stomach in terms of weight, this is when now like
The body is really
yeah, so like, no, so like more. I know the blood vessels are like the blood vessels. I know
The
that.
temperature is high too. Yes, the temperature is high. That's when
So like these are normally it's normally close to the skin, so it's too cold. So
when you so you have more blood out of the cell. So with this one, with vasodilation, you get arterial move closer. Dilate and move closer to the surface. Your hairs lie down to allow for release. So your heat loss is through yes, your radiation. Does that make sense? Are we together?
Yep.
Guys, if you guys want to prepare, what time should we start? 4 o'clock or now? You guys can start now. Right, so I'm ending the session for the guys who are writing online. I mean, face to face, yeah. So they will write the exam and then we'll look at it tomorrow. Right. Is it?